Welcome back to Behind the Lights, the channel that goes beyond the headlines to explore the human cost of Hollywood's brightest spotlights. I'm Your Name. And today we're delivering part 2 of our countdown, the top 10 celebrity good girls gone bad. Female stars who once embodied purity and promise, only to ignite controversies that reshaped their careers and our cultural conversations. This isn't gossip for gossip's sake. We're examining verified timelines, court documents, and the stars' own words to trace how pressure, exploitation, and the relentless gaze of fame turned role models into cautionary tales then, in many cases, into symbols of hard-won redemption. From the Mickey Mouse Club assembly line to Disney's billion-dollar empires, these women were packaged as untouchable ideals for young fans. Yet when they dared to grow up on their own terms, whether through bold artistic choices, personal crises, or outright rebellion, the backlash was swift and unforgiving. In the next half hour, we'll count down numbers 5 through 1, dissecting the pivotal moments, the systemic failures, and the surprising comebacks that followed. You'll walk away understanding not just what happened, but why it still matters, and perhaps questioning the price we all pay for idolizing youth. So settle in, the lights are dimming, and the real story is about to begin. Top 5. Christina Aguilera. Coming in at number 5 is Christina Aguilera, a singer whose voice could command arenas, but whose image shift commanded even more attention, turning her from a symbol of teen purity into a lightning rod for debates on female expression in pop music. Her story starts in the early 1990s on the set of The Mickey Mouse Club, where a 12-year-old Aguilera shared the stage with peers like Britney Spears and Justin Timberlake. She stood out not just for her powerhouse vocals, but for her relatable energy, a kid from Staten Island with big dreams and an even bigger range. By 1999, at age 18, her debut album arrived like a summer blockbuster. The lead single, Genie in a Bottle, captured the era's playful flirtation. Sun-drenched beaches, cropped tops, and lyrics that hinted at desire while staying firmly PG. It spent 5 weeks at number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100, sold over 1 million copies in its first week alone, and earned her the Grammy for Best New Artist in 2000. To millions of young listeners, she was the approachable idol, talented, bubbly, and seemingly untarnished by the industry's darker edges. The album moved 17 million units worldwide, solidifying her as the wholesome counterpoint to edgier acts. That carefully polished persona began to fray in the years that followed. Aguilera has spoken candidly about feeling constrained by record label demands to maintain a marketable innocence, even as she navigated adult relationships and creative frustrations. In 2001, she parted ways with manager Steve Kurtz, a move that signaled her intent to steer her own ship. The result was Stripped, released in October 2002, an album that stripped away the gloss and laid bare her evolution. The opening track declared, "Thank you for the pain," setting the tone for what was to come. The lead single, Dirty, featuring Redman, sampled his earlier work and pulsed with hip-hop-infused production from Rock Wilder. Its hook, "Wanna Get Rowdy, Gonna Get a Little Unruly," wasn't subtle, but the video took things further. Directed by David LaChapelle, it unfolded in a dimly lit Bangkok fight club, Aguilera in leather chaps, boxing gloves, and little else, splashing through water and commanding a crowd of dancers in scenes laced with fetish imagery. When it premiered on MTV, the network issued parental advisories, and critics pounced. Time magazine called her look post-apocalyptic, while outlets like the New York Post questioned if she'd traded artistry for shock value. Radio stations in conservative markets hesitated to play it, and parent groups organized boycotts, arguing it corrupted the youth who'd once sung along to her genie wishes. Yet the numbers told a different story. Dirty climbed to number 48 on the Hot 100 Modest for a lead single, but Stripped itself sold 13 million copies globally, driven by follow-ups that showcased her versatility. Beautiful, a piano-driven ballad co-written with Linda Perry, became a cultural touchstone for self-acceptance, earning a Grammy in 2004 and widespread praise from LGBTQ+ advocacy groups for its inclusive message. Aguilera later explained in interviews that the album was her way of reclaiming autonomy after years of being molded into a product. She wasn't abandoning her roots, she was expanding them, proving she could deliver vulnerability alongside defiance. This duality persisted into the next decade. In 2010, with Bionic, she pushed boundaries again through Not Myself Tonight, a track steeped in electronic beats and S&M visuals. Think latex, chains, and a church-set orgy in the Hype Williams-directed clip. It drew comparisons to Madonna's provocative Prime, but also fresh criticism for feeling calculated amid a crowded pop landscape. Aguilera addressed the noise head-on, telling Rolling Stone that exploring sexuality was part of her growth, not a gimmick. Over time, her catalog balanced these edges with empowerment anthems, influencing a wave of artists who followed suit without apology. At its core, Aguilera's transformation stemmed from the classic tension between expectation and authenticity. Teen stardom's golden cage clashing with the desire to mature publicly. It highlighted a persistent double-standard male artists experiment freely, while women face scrutiny for the same boldness. The broader ripple effect opened doors for performers like Beyoncé and Rihanna to blend sensuality with strength. Today, at 44, Aguilera headlines Vegas residencies, mentors on The Voice, and collaborates across genres. Her catalog a testament to adaptability. In the end, she didn't shatter her good girl image out of rebellion alone. She rebuilt it on her terms, showing that true power lies in refusing to stay bottled up. Top 4. Donna Plato. Slipping into number 4 is Dana Plato, a name that once evoked the warmth of 1980s family television, but now serves as a somber reminder of how quickly fame can turn isolating and unforgiving. Born in 1964 and adopted shortly after, Plato showed early promise as a performer, appearing in commercials and landing small roles on daytime soaps like The Doctors. By age 10, her big break came in 1978 when she joined the cast of Different Strokes as Kimberly Drummond, the bright-eyed, responsible older sister in a sitcom that blended humor with heartfelt lessons on adoption, racism, and peer pressure. The show was a ratings powerhouse, averaging 20 to 30 million viewers per episode in its prime and running for 8 seasons across NBC and ABC. Plato's character evolved from a precocious kid delivering punchlines to a thoughtful teen navigating high school and family dynamics, making her a relatable figure for audiences who saw the Drummonds as an idealized American household. Fan letters poured in, and she shared the spotlight with co-stars Gary Coleman and Todd Bridges, all under the watchful eye of producer Norman Lear's vision for socially conscious comedy. The pressures of that spotlight, however, began eroding her foundation long before the cameras stopped rolling. In later interviews, including a 1990s appearance on The Jenny Jones Show, Plato revealed she started using marijuana and alcohol at 14 with cocaine, following soon after, often on the set itself, where adult supervision was lax and the demands of a weekly series left little room for normal teenage milestones. By 1983, at 19, she became pregnant with her son Tyler, a development that clashed with the show's wholesome branding. producers opted to write Kimberly off temporarily, sending her to study abroad in Paris for much of Season 7, with Plato returning for only a handful of episodes in the final year. It was a polite sidelining, but it marked the beginning of her professional exile, typecast as the perpetual good girl. She struggled to land meaningful roles afterward, turning to low-budget films like the 1989 thriller Prime Suspect. Financial ruin compounded the isolation. Plato discovered in the late 1980s that a trusted advisor had mismanaged and embezzled the bulk of her earnings, estimated at over $1 million from her. Stroke's salary alone, leaving her with mounting debts and no safety net. By 1991, living in Las Vegas and working odd jobs, she hit a desperate low. On February 25th, she entered a local video rental store, disguised in sunglasses and a hat, brandished a pellet gun, and demanded cash from the register. The haul was just $163, but the clerk recognized her immediately and alerted police with the now infamous line, "I've been robbed by Kimberly from different strokes." Officers arrested her nearby after she returned to the scene in confusion. She pleaded guilty to armed robbery, receiving 5 years probation, community service, and mandatory drug counseling. The incident dominated tabloids, shifting public perception from nostalgia to pity. Desperation led to further compromises. In 1992, Plato appeared in softcore adult films such as Bikini Beach Race and Different Strokes, The Story of Jack and Jill, and Jill, roles she later described to People magazine as survival choices that left her feeling humiliated and trapped. That same year, another arrest for forging a Valium prescription at a pharmacy added more probation and underscored her ongoing battle with prescription drugs. Sporadic media appearances in the late 1990s, including a defiant spot on Howard Stern's radio show where she insisted she was clean despite audience skepticism, offered glimpses of resilience but couldn't reverse the trajectory. The end came tragically on May 8, 1999. While visiting her fiancé's family in Oklahoma for Mother's Day weekend, Plato was found dead in their RV at age 34. Toxicology reports confirmed a fatal overdose of the painkiller, Lortab combined with the muscle relaxant Soma and traces of Valium. The death was initially deemed accidental, but later ruled a suicide by the medical examiner, citing her history of depression and previous attempts. No suicide note was found, though old scars on her wrists spoke volumes. The loss reverberated through her family. Her son Tyler struggled profoundly with the absence, ultimately taking his own life in 2010 at age 25, an event that renewed discussions about inherited trauma in former child star families. At its root, Plato's decline exposed systemic gaps in child actor protections during the 1980s. No enforced trust funds under California's Coogan Act, minimal on-set counseling, and a culture that prioritized ratings over well-being. Todd Bridges, in his 2010 memoir, Killing Willis, detailed similar unchecked excesses among the cast, framing it as the infamous different strokes curse that claimed all 3 young leads in different ways. The fallout influenced policy shifts, including strengthened labor laws for minors in entertainment by the early 2000s, documentaries and retrospectives, from True Hollywood Story episodes to 2006's Child Star Confidential. Keep her narrative alive as a cautionary benchmark. Ultimately, Plato wasn't defined by a single bad choice, but by a series of unchecked vulnerabilities in an industry quick to celebrate youth and quicker to discard it. Her legacy urges a harder look at the support structures, or lack thereof, that determine who survives the spotlight and who fades into its shadows. Top 3. Britney Spears. At number 3 stands Britney Spears, the pop phenomenon whose meteoric rise and harrowing fall became one of the most scrutinized chapters in entertainment history, ultimately reshaping conversations about mental health, autonomy, and the machinery of fame. Her journey began in small-town Louisiana, where a precocious talent caught the eye of casting directors early. At age 11, she competed on Star Search, and by 1993, she was part of the revived Mickey Mouse Club, sharing the stage with future heavyweights like Christina Aguilera and Justin Timberlake. Those years honed her skills in singing, dancing, and acting, but it was her 1998 signing with Jive Records that launched her into orbit. The debut single, Baby One More Time, arrived in October of that year, a catchy blend of pop and R&B, with a video featuring Spears in a Catholic school uniform, pigtails swinging as she danced through hallways. It spent 2 weeks at number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100, sold over 10 million copies as a single, and propelled her album to 30 million worldwide. By 2001, her empire included multi-platinum follow-ups like Oops, I Did It Again, a Las Vegas residency precursor in the form of sold-out tours, and endorsement deals that pushed her net worth past $60 million. To a generation of fans, particularly young women and their families, she represented aspirational innocence, energetic, relatable, and seemingly in control of her narrative. The cracks appeared gradually, but widened dramatically starting in 2003. Her high-profile relationship with Timberlake ended amid rumors of her infidelity, which he amplified in his 2002 video for Cry Me a River, casting a lookalike as the cheating partner. Spears addressed it in a 2003 Diane Sawyer interview, admitting to mistakes but feeling the weight of public judgment. Personal milestones followed swiftly, a spontaneous January 2004 wedding in Las Vegas to childhood friend Jason Alexander, lasting just 55 hours before annulment on grounds of unsound mind. Later that year, she married dancer Kevin Federline, welcoming sons Sean Preston in 2005 and Jaden James in 2006. The marriage unraveled by November 2006, triggering a bitter custody battle that played out under relentless paparazzi scrutiny. Photographers camping outside her home, chasing her car at high speeds. The tipping point came in early 2007, struggling with postpartum challenges and the isolation of new motherhood. Spears made headlines for erratic behavior. On February 16th, she entered a Tarzana hair salon and shaved her head herself, an accident captured by hovering helicopters and later explained in her 2008 documentary, For the Record, as a desperate bid to reclaim some control. If they're going to touch me, at least let it be on my terms. 2 days later, she attacked a paparazzo's SUV with an umbrella outside a gas station, the footage looping endlessly on news channels. The October 2007 MTV Video Music Awards performance of Gimme More sealed the narrative shift, disoriented and out of sync. It drew harsh reviews and solidified perceptions of a star in freefall. Custody of her sons was temporarily lost to Federline, and in January 2008, 2 involuntary psychiatric holds under California's 5150 Worcester Code followed refusals to release the children during visitations. What emerged from this chaos was a conservatorship, petitioned by her father, Jamie Spears, and approved by a Los Angeles court in February 2008, initially temporary, then permanent by October. It granted him oversight of her finances, career, and personal decisions, including medical treatments, for 13 years. This arrangement managed a fortune that grew through albums like Circus, 2008, Femme Fatale, 2011, and Glory, 2016, plus a 4-year Las Vegas residency from 2013 to 2017 that grossed over $137 million. Yet allegations surfaced of overreach, forced performances, medication regimens, and even an IUD to prevent pregnancy, as Spears detailed in her 2023 memoir, The Woman in Me. Fan speculation about the conservatorship's necessity began as early as 2009 with online forums and podcasts, evolving into the houched Free Britney movement by 2019. It gained traction through investigative pieces, culminating in her June 2021 testimony, where she described the setup as abusive and pleaded, "I just want my life back." The case ended in November 2021, with the conservatorship terminated without requiring a mental evaluation. A rare outcome that prompted California legislative changes in 2022 to make dissolutions easier. Rooted in documented postpartum struggles and aggressive media pursuit, over 100 photographers often trailed her daily. The 2007 crisis exposed vulnerabilities amplified by fame. It illuminated conservatorship flaws, where well-intentioned protections can morph into control, influencing broader reforms. Despite constraints, Spears' output during this period demonstrated enduring appeal, with the residency alone drawing 700,000 attendees. Since regaining freedom, she's collaborated on tracks like the 2022 Elton John duet, Hold Me Closer, settled lingering legal matters with her family, and used social media to share unfiltered thoughts. Her story isn't one of simple downfall, but of a system that profited from her talent while limiting her agency. In reclaiming her narrative, Spears has transformed from a symbol of lost innocence to one of empowered survival, proving that even shattered crowns can be reforged. Top 2. Miley Cyrus. Claiming number 2 is Miley Cyrus, the artist who turned the transition from child star to adult provocateur into a high-wire act that captivated and polarized audiences for over a decade. Her ascent began in 2006 when, at 13, she secured the lead in Hannah Montana, Disney Channel's flagship series about a regular teen living a secret life as a pop icon. The show aired for 4 seasons and 98 episodes, spawning soundtracks that debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200 and generating more than $1 billion in merchandise, from wigs to lunchboxes. Cyrus portrayed Miley Stewart by day awkward, relatable, and grounded in Tennessee values, and Hannah Montana by night, complete with a blonde wig and a message of staying true to yourself. She wore a purity ring, spoke openly about her Christian faith in interviews, and toured with her father, Billy Ray Cyrus, as her on-screen dad, reinforcing a family-oriented image that resonated with parents and preteens alike. Songs like The Best of Both Worlds became anthems for duality without danger, and her 2007 concert film grossed $65 million, cementing her as Disney's golden ticket. Early signs of friction surfaced subtly. At the 2008 Teen Choice Awards, a brief pole dance during Party in the USDA was billed as playful choreography, but it raised eyebrows among conservative viewers. A leaked 2010 video of an 18-year-old Cyrus using salvia from a bong at a party further chipped at the facade, prompting apologies from her camp while she dismissed it as a one-off experiment. The real rupture, however, arrived in 2013 with the release of Bangers, an album that blended hip-hop, pop, and EDM to sell over 3 million copies worldwide. Cyrus had cut her long hair into a bleached pixie, shed the Hannah wig for good, and articulated a desire to separate from her past, telling outlets like Harper's Bazaar that she needed to prove I'm not my parents' kid. The lead single We Can't Stop, released in June, featured lyrics celebrating freedom and excess, with a video full of party chaos and twerking that premiered to mixed reactions. The tipping point came at the MTV Video Music Awards that August, performing a medley with Robin Thicke. Cyrus emerged in a latex ensemble, grinding against him with a foam finger in a routine that blended absurdity and sexuality. The broadcast drew 10.1 million viewers, but MTV's complaint line received over 300,000 calls from parents, and outlets like Fox News labeled it near pornographic. Critics highlighted the performance's reliance on black dance culture twerking, originated in New Orleans bounce music, while the stage featured mostly white backup dancers, sparking accusations of cultural appropriation that Cyrus addressed years later in a 2019 interview, acknowledging she had borrowed without understanding the context. October's Wrecking Ball video, directed by Terry Richardson, showed her nude on a swinging demolition ball, a raw visual inspired by a public spat with Sinead O'Connor over mental health concerns. It amassed 1 billion views on YouTube, but drew criticism from LGBTQ+ groups for perceived queerbaiting in its emotional intensity. Cyrus doubled down in the years that followed. The 2014 Bangers Tour included inflatable props, scant costumes, and on-stage admissions of marijuana use. Aligning her with cannabis advocacy, she launched the Happy Hippie Foundation in 2015 to support homeless LGBTQ+ youth. Her self-released Miley Cyrus and Her Dead Pets sus that year was a psychedelic departure, free from label constraints. The personal cost was steep in a 2023 interview. She reflected on family-strained siblings facing schoolyard taunts, her father struggling to connect, and romantic relationships buckling under the spotlight, including her 2019 split from Liam Hemsworth after a decade of on-again, off-again dating. The foundation of this shift lay in the restrictive contracts and image control post Hannah Montana, where executives dictated everything from wardrobe to public statements, as Cyrus detailed in a 2015 Marie Claire profile. It mirrored broader patterns for Disney alumni, but her approach blended genuine self-discovery with calculated provocation in an era before widespread Me Too accountability. The cultural impact was undeniable. Bangers-style shock tactics influenced peers like Ariana Grande and Cardi B, while her later pivot to introspective hits like 2023's Flowers, a Grammy-winning ode to self-reliance, demonstrated reinvention's longevity. Looking ahead, with ongoing tours and genre experiments, Cyrus continues to evolve without the earlier wreckage. In the end, her story isn't about going astray, but about dismantling expectations to build something authentic, reminding us that sometimes the most powerful statement is simply refusing to stay in character. Top 1. Lindsay Lohan. Crowning our list at number 1 is Lindsay Lohan, the actress whose early brilliance lit up screens with effortless charm, only to flicker through a storm of legal troubles and personal struggles that became a defining saga of early 2000s Hollywood excess. Her breakthrough came in 1998 at age 11 with The Parent Trap, where she played dual roles as estranged twins scheming to reunite their parents, opposite Dennis Quaid and Natasha Richardson. The film drew over 120 million viewers worldwide in its theatrical and home video run, earning praise for Lohan's natural timing and infectious energy. Disney quickly capitalized, casting her in life-size alongside Tyra Banks and Get a Clue, building a portfolio of family-friendly hits. By 2004, at 17, she starred in Mean Girls, written by Tina Fey and directed by Mark Waters. A sharp satire on high school hierarchies where Lohan's Katie Heron evolved from wide-eyed transfer student to manipulative social climber. It grossed $130 million globally, landed her the MTV Movie Award for Best Female Performance, and turned phrases like, "You go, Glenn Coco," into cultural staples. Parallel to acting, her music career took off with the 2004 album, Speak, debuting at number 4 on the Billboard 200 and going platinum. Its lead single, Rumors, a defiant nod to the growing paparazzi swarm. The shift from prodigy to tabloid fixture unfolded gradually. Nightlife scenes with peers like Paris Hilton in the mid-2000s brought whispers of late nights and weight fluctuations, leading to missed press junkets for 2006's Just My Luck. The escalation hit in 2007 with 2 DUI arrests, within months a May crash into a curb in Beverly Hills, followed by a July incident on Sunset Boulevard, where police found cocaine in her possession during a high-speed pursuit of her former assistant's mother. Mugshots circulated widely, and Lohan entered the Promises Treatment Center in Malibu, completing a 45-day stint. An alcohol monitoring scram bracelet became part of her probation, but violations mounted missed court-ordered classes and positive tests led to bench warrants. In 2010, failure to appear at a progress hearing during the Cannes Film Festival prompted a $100,000 bail posting and international headlines. Legal entanglements deepened in 2011 when Lohan was accused of stealing a $500 necklace from a Venice Beach jewelry store. She pleaded no contest to misdemeanor theft, serving house arrest with an ankle monitor and completing 480 hours of community service at the Los Angeles morgue and a women's shelter. A 2012 collision on Pacific Coast Highway, where her Porsche struck an 18-wheeler, with Lohan initially claiming her assistant was driving, resulted in charges of reckless driving and providing false information to police. Overcrowded facilities meant brief actual jail time, a 30-day sentence in 2010 reduced to 4 hours. Another in 2011 to 84 minutes. By 2013, she had accumulated 6 arrests, entered rehab 6 times for a combined 250 days, and faced around 20 court appearances, as tracked by outlets like CNN. Financial mismanagement exacerbated the chaos. A business manager's embezzlement drained much of her earnings, leaving her in debt despite early 7-figure paychecks. A 2014 OWN Network docuseries captured her attempts at stability, but a leaked list of alleged romantic partners, including high-profile names, overshadowed discussions of a prior miscarriage she revealed on the show. The roots trace back to a childhood in the industry with reported absentee parenting and limited safeguards Lohan has discussed in a 2013 Oprah Winfrey interview, feeling pressured to support her family from a young age, with earnings not fully protected under California's Coogan Act, which mandates a portion of child actors' income be set aside in trust. This exposed loopholes that allowed much of her Parent Trap and Mean Girls profits estimated in the millions to vanish. Her experiences fed into broader dialogues on exploitation, influencing Sofia Coppola's 2013 film, The Bling Ring, which depicted real burglaries targeting Lohan's home in 2009, among others. The saga also resonated in later Me Too conversations about young women navigating predatory environments. Since relocating to Dubai around 2016, Lohan has pursued business ventures like nightclubs and a lifestyle brand, while selectively returning to acting with Netflix holiday films such as 2022's Falling for Christmas and 2024's Irish Wish, plus motherhood following her 2022 marriage and the 2023 birth of son Luai. These steps signal a deliberate pace away from past volatility. Lohan's trajectory underscores how vulnerability, when magnified by constant scrutiny, can derail even the most promising paths, yet her gradual reemergence highlights the possibility of redirection. She stands as a complex figure, not a cautionary villain, but a testament to the human toll of unchecked ascent, and the quiet strength required to step back into the light on one's own terms. There you have it, the top 5 women who started as beacons of innocence and ended up navigating storms that tested every limit of fame. Christina Aguilera traded bubblegum for bold self-ownership. Dana Plato slipped through cracks no child star should face. Britney Spears fought a system that silenced her voice. Miley Cyrus demolished expectations to rebuild on her terms. And Lindsay Lohan rose from the ashes of chaos to reclaim quiet control. None of these stories are simple cautionary tales. They're layered reminders that the pedestal we build for young talent can become a cage. And the fall is often less about personal failure than about the weight we all place on public figures. What ties them together is resilience. The quiet, hard-won kind that turns public judgment into private growth. They forced conversations we needed about artistic freedom, industry safeguards, mental health stigma, cultural accountability, and the right to evolve without apology. In the end, their bad phases weren't endpoints. They were turning points that humanized the headlines and challenged us to look closer. So tell me in the comments who surprised you most, or whose comeback inspires you. I read every reply. If these stories moved you, hit subscribe to Behind the Lights for more honest dives into the lives behind the fame. Part 1's honorable mentions drop next. Turn on notifications. Share this with someone who remembers the pigtails era, and let's keep the conversation going. Thanks for watching. Stay curious. Stay compassionate. See you soon.